Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst. I'm Reverend Michelle Buhite, and I'm the minister of this congregation. We are so happy you've chosen to spend this worship hour with us. Please see our website, uuamherst.org, for information about getting more connected and how to grow your soul.
Good morning. Our opening reading this morning is from Mark Nepo. The culmination of one love, one dream, one self is the anonymous seed of the next. There is very little difference between burying and planting, for often we need to put dead things to rest so that a new life can grow. And further, the thing put to rest, whether it be a loved one, a dream, or a false way of seeing, becomes the fertilizer for the life about to form. As the well-used thing joins with the earth, the old love fertilizes the new. The broken dream fertilizes the dream yet conceived. The painful way of being that strapped us to the world fertilizes the freer inner stance about to unfold. There is always grief for what is lost, and always surprise at what is to be born. But much of our pain in living comes from wearing a dead and useless skin, refusing to put it to rest, or from burying such things with the intent of hiding them, rather than relinquishing them. We live, embrace, and put to rest our dearest things, including how we see ourselves, so that we can resurrect our lives anew. The Flaming Chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more justice and compassion to a hurting world. Today, Liz and her daughter Camille will light our chalice.
We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning. In celebration of the life we share together.
It's been said that Unitarian Universalism is the religion that puts its faith in you, trusting each individual to engage in the spiritual journey and to reach our own conclusions about spiritual matters. We do that in beloved community as we support one another in faith and friendship. In that spirit, this congregation has created a covenant, a sacred promise of how we will strive to be with one another. Please join me as we speak the words of our covenant. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world. I hope you'll sing with me. It's hymn number 83 if you happen to have a gray hymnal at home, Winds Be Still.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come, peace grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm let all find tranquility. Bird, fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view, help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far, and lead us each to see how we move through light shining, illuminate our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full symphony.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Spirit Play's coming your way. Spirit Play is a structured program modeled after Montessori, intended to engage children's minds and spirits via story lessons with compelling props. The stories help children to discover our 7 UU promises and the 6 UU sources. Our faith development facilitators and young participants have been using this programming for children in kindergarten through 5th grade since 2016. Spirit Play stories will be shared as the time for all ages during this month of May to illustrate the value of the program to the whole congregation. It is our hope that families will enjoy our online services together. In consideration for the attention span of our littlest friends, they will be in the beginning of the service each week. We hope you all enjoy and learn from Spirit Play.
Once in a beautiful faraway land that was somehow not so very far. A land where every stone was a teacher and every breeze a language, where every lake was a mirror and every tree a ladder to the stars. Into this far and lovely land there fell a truth. It streaked down from the stars, trailing a tail as long as the sky, but as it fell, it broke. One of the pieces blazed off through the night sky, and the other fell to earth in the beautiful land. In the morning, Crow found the fallen piece. It seemed to be sort of a stone, shiny and pleasing to the eye. He picked it up. "This is a lovely truth," said Crow. "I will keep it." And he carried it away. But after he had held it for a while and examined it closely, Crow said, "This truth does not feel quite right. Part of it is missing. I will look for a whole one." He flew off and dropped it to the ground. Other creatures who like shiny things soon noticed the truth as well. Fox, coyote, raccoon, each picked it up and carried it a while. But they too found that it had rough edges and was difficult to carry, and its sparkle soon lost its appeal. "We do not need this broken truth," they said. "We will find a whole one." Butterfly and bear also discovered the truth, drawn by its sweetness. But each found that it left a bitter taste after all. "There is something missing in this truth," they thought, and they left it alone. After a while, none of the creatures even noticed the broken truth anymore, and it laid on the ground forgotten. Then a human found it. He was walking slowly, listening to breezes, gazing at the beauties above and below and all around him, when he found the broken truth. On it was writing, and the writing said, "You are loved." The man held it carefully, thinking it was the loveliest thing he had ever seen. He tucked the broken truth into a safe place and kept it. Sometimes he would take it out and admire it, and the truth sparkled just for him and whispered its message to him alone, and the man thought he had never felt so proud and so happy. The man took the wonderful truth to his people, those who lived with him, who spoke as he spoke, and dressed as he dressed, and whose faces looked like his. And together they cherished their newfound truth and believed in it. They hugged it to themselves, and it became their most important possession. After a while, the man and his people did not hear the language of the breezes and the stones anymore, but only heard their truth. They did not see the mirror beauties in the lakes or the ladders to the stars, but only their sparkling truth, and for them it was enough. They called it the truth. The truth made people feel good and proud and strong, but soon they began to feel fear and even anger to those who were not like themselves and did not share their truth. The other beings and other people of the lovely land seemed less and less important, and the language of the breezes was hardly ever heard anymore. Time passed, and other people said, "We must have this great truth for ourselves, for with it comes happiness and power." Many battles were fought, and the broken truth was won and lost and won and lost over and over again. But such was its power and beauty that no one ever doubted it, and when they were without it, they felt a great emptiness where their truth had been. The stones and the trees suffered, the breezes and the waters suffered, and the animals and their earth, and most of all, the people suffered. Finally, the animals went to Old Turtle, ancient and wise as the mountains and the seas themselves. Crow and fox went, coyote went, raccoon, butterfly, bear, and many others. All went to see Old Turtle. This truth the people quarreled over. They said, "We have all held it ourselves. It is broken and does not work. Please tell the people." "I am sorry," answered Old Turtle, "but the people will not listen. They are not ready." And the suffering continued. Until one day, a little girl came to find the Old Turtle. She had traveled very far and had crossed the mountains of imagining and the river of wondering why. She had found her way through the forest of finding out. And when she had grown tired, she had ridden on the backs of animals or the wings of birds, and they had helped her find the way. Finally, they came to a great hill in the very center of the world. From there, a little girl thought she had never seen so far or seen so much beauty. But when she saw Old Turtle, she could hardly speak. She simply looked with eyes full of wonder. "Why have you come so far to find me, little one?" asked Old Turtle. Her voice rumbled like faraway thunder, but was soft as the breeze through a caterpillar's whispers. I wanted to ask a question," answered Little Girl. "Where I live, the earth is sore and the people are suffering. Battles are fought over and over again. People say it has always been this way and will never change. Can it change, Old Turtle? Can we make it change?" Old Turtle spoke. "The world you describe is not the world as it always has been, little one." Old Turtle told of how the people had found the broken truth and the suffering it had caused. "It is because it is so close to a great whole truth that it has such beauty, and that people love it so," said Old Turtle. "It is the lost portion of the broken truth that the people need if the world is to be made whole again." "But where is the missing piece?" asked Little Girl. "Can we put the truth back together again?" "First, my child," said Old Turtle, "remember that there are truths all around us and within us. They twinkle in the night sky and bloom upon the earth. They fall upon us every day, silent as the snow and gentle as the rain. The people, clutching their one truth, forget that it is part of all the small and lovely truths of life. They no longer see these truths, no longer hear them. But perhaps, little one, you can." I'll try," said Little Girl. And she thought once more of her long journey. She looked upon all the beauty that surrounded her, from the far hills to the flowers beneath her feet. She saw the movement of the clouds and the soaring of the birds and the dancing of the light upon the green and living earth. She heard the whispering of a breeze, and gradually a feeling came over her as though all the world was made of truths, as if the world had been made just for her and she had been made for it. And she felt a secret smile somewhere deep inside, and she thought that perhaps she understood. She looked once again at Old Turtle, her eyes more filled with wonder than before. Old Turtle spoke again. "And remember this also, little one," she said. "The broken truth in life itself will be mended only when one person meets another, someone from a different place or with a different face or different ways, and sees and hears herself. Only then will people know that every person, every being is important, and the world was made for each of us." For a long time then, the two friends were quiet, high on their hill in the very center of the world. In her heart, the little girl thought she could see other people in other beautiful lands, people with their own ways, their own truths, people different from her own, but still somehow the people. Finally, the little girl asked one more question. "Old Turtle, how will people learn these things?" "By seeking out those small and simple truths all around them," said Old Turtle. "By listening once more to the language of the breezes, by learning lessons from the stones and the animals and the trees and the stars, even turtles," she chuckled, "and little girls. Now, little one, it is time for you to go, to return to your people and tell them what you have seen and learned, and to help them mend their broken truth. Take this with you," said Old Turtle as she placed something in Little Girl's hand. "I have saved it for a very long time for someone just like you." The little girl looked at what Old Turtle had given her. It was kind of a stone, a mysterious, beautiful stone. It was lovely to touch, and it made her feel good to hold it. She squeezed it tightly, then tucked it away for her journey. "Thank you, old turtle," she said, and hugged her friend's great leathery neck. Then she started home. Once more she traveled through the forest of finding out, crossing the river of wondering why, and the mountains of imagining. Crow led the way, and again, when the little girl grew tired, all her animal friends helped. She sometimes touched the stone old turtle had given her to renew her strength. It took a long time, yet almost no time at all. And she was home, but it had been a very long journey, and those who take great journeys of the heart are changed. The people did not recognize her. When she spoke, they did not understand. She told them of her journey, but the people could not follow her words. She spoke of a world made of small and gentle truths, of all the people being one people, but they could not catch her meaning. She explained about the broken truth, and she needed to make it whole, but the people did not believe her and could not understand. Finally, Crow, seeing all that had happened, flew to the high place above their village where the great truth was kept, in a place where all could see it. He cawed and cawed in his loudest voice, and suddenly Little Girl knew what to do. She climbed to the high place herself. She took Old Turtle's stone from her pocket and carefully added the missing piece to the old broken one. The fit was perfect. Now, the original piece said, "You are loved," and the new one says, "And so are they." The people looked and looked and looked. Some frowned, some smiled, some even laughed, and some cried, and they began to understand. Time passed, and upon the beautiful land the trees climbed like ladder to the stars. The waters shone like mirrors, and the people saw their beauty. The breezes stirred, and they heard its music. Tiny truths fell by day and night, gentle as the rain and snow, and the people found them and kept them in their hearts. And slowly the people met other people different from themselves, and they began to see themselves. And far away on a hill in the very center of the world, Old Turtle smiled.
If we were gathered in our beloved chapel today, this would be the moment when the ushers would come forward with the offering baskets, and we would have the opportunity to express our gratitude and our generosity in the offering. We can do that virtually. Simply go to our website, uuamherst.org, and click on the giving link, while Lydia Suleiman shares her music with us.
Close your tired eyes, relax, and then count from 1 to 10, and open them. All these heavy thoughts will try to bring you down, but not this time. Way up in the air, you're finally free, and you can stay up there, right next to me. All this gravity will try to weigh you down, but not this time. When the sun goes down and the lights burn out, then it's time for you to shine, brighter than a shooting star, to shine no matter where you are. Fill the darkest night with a brilliant light, 'cause it's time for you to shine, brighter than a shooting star, to shine no matter where you are tonight. Brighter than a shooting star, so shine no matter where you are tonight. Gaze into my eyes when the fire starts, and fan the flame so hot it melts our hearts. All this pouring rain, we'll try to put it out, but not this time. Let your colors burn and brightly burst into a million thoughts that all disperse and illuminate a world that'll try to bring you down, but not this time. When the sun goes down and the lights burn out, then it's time for you to shine, brighter than a shooting star, to shine no matter where you are. Fill the darkest night with a brilliant light, 'cause it's time for you to shine, brighter than a shooting star, shine no matter where
next reading comes from Peter Gomes. There is in Celtic mythology the notion of thin places in the universe where the visible and the invisible world come into their closest proximity. Mountains and rivers are particularly favored as thin places, marking invariably as they do the horizontal and perpendicular frontiers. But perhaps the ultimate of these thin places in the human condition are the experiences people are likely to have as they encounter suffering, joy, and mystery. My great-aunt Vera had a stock saying. She would wave her hand dismissively, smoke from the perpetual cigarette between her fingers wafting madly about, and she would say, "Well, it's neither here nor there." Even as a kid, I would wonder, what does that mean? If it's not here, and it's not there, where is it? And what is it? My great-aunt Vera took those answers to the grave with her. But what was imprinted on my impressionable young mind was that there was a third alternative, neither here nor there. Today we're going to explore that third possibility, neither here nor there, but in between, at the threshold. 2 weeks ago we talked about the waiting place, the pause between restlessness and spaciousness. We talked about how waiting is hard and that it has important lessons to teach us. Today we will take that a little bit deeper as we find ourselves at a thin place. As we heard in Celtic mythology, and probably other traditions as well, there is a notion of a thin place, a place between here and there, this and that. The space between burying and planting, releasing and letting go, now and then. The thin place that most of us are familiar with is at Samhain, or All Hallows, when the veil between the world of the living and the world of spirit is said to be thinnest. There are also geographic thin places, like Glastonbury and Stonehenge in England, and Sedona, Arizona, here in the U.S. These and other thin places seem to have a vibe, a sense of timelessness, or time out of time, where time seems to flex and bend. When I lived in Jamestown, the local Wegmans was a thin place for me, as I would meet people that I hadn't seen in decades, and an hour easily would slip by when all I came in for was celery and cat food. I have a theory about Wegmans being a portal to other dimensions, but that is a conversation for another time. Thin places are places of transition. Sometimes they function as border crossings, stopping us in our tracks as we search for the appropriate credentials that will afford us access. Sometimes these thin places launch us into the unexpected and the unknown, hurling us into uncharted territory. But more often, thin places are the transition points within us. I recently read a blog by someone who identifies themselves as the Green Preacher that made the claim that the coronavirus and our forced separation from life as we knew it is a thin place. The author states that prior to the virus, most of us operated in what the ancient Greeks called chronos time. Tidy appointments, 9 to 5, reports, juggling schedules. The abrupt cessation of most of what was in our collective calendars has thrust us into what the ancient Greeks called kairos, a type of time that is much more flexible, a time beyond time that reminds us that there is more to life than we can possibly imagine. This thin place is a container for awe and wonder, a place to brush up against the unconscious and get a glimpse of the life that is more than us. If Peter Gomes is correct, that the ultimate thin places in the human condition are the experiences people are likely to have as we encounter suffering, joy, and mystery, then we are collectively in one of those mysterious places with no familiar landmarks to guide us. Across the globe, humanity is learning the hard lesson that what affects one part of the web affects us all. For those of us who have been lucky enough to remain well and have had no loved ones affected by the virus, life seems a bit surreal. I mean, when can we get back to the business of living? When can we get back to normal? Well, as Sonia Renee Taylor writes, we will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. If normal is the continued oppression of people of color, who are dying from the virus at a rate nearly 3 times greater than that of whites, not because something about the pigment of their skin makes them more susceptible, but because white supremacy culture keeps them locked in cycles of poverty with inadequate health care, a devastating percentage of incarcerations, and a minimum wage that makes it impossible to raise a family on fewer than 3 jobs, friends, we need a new normal. We need a normal that doesn't separate immigrant families or turn them away. The vast majority of people seeking refuge in the United States today are not coming to be part of some gold rush. They are running from horrific conditions. As Warren Shear, a Kenyan-born Somali poet, writer, and educator, writes in their poem, Home, no one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. You only run for the border when you see the whole city running as well. You only leave home when home won't let you stay. Home is the barrel of the gun, and no one would leave home unless home chased you to the shore, unless home told you to quicken your legs, leave your clothes behind, crawl through the desert, wade through the oceans, drown, save, be hunger, beg, forget pride. Your survival is more important. We need a new normal that extends beyond just the sanctity of human life. We need a new normal that includes the more than human beings of this planet, the land, the ocean, the trees, the animals, the butterflies, honeybees, all of it. Author Charles Eisenstein describes this as an age of reunion, or a new story of interbeing. This new normal includes some basic principles, that my being partakes of your being, and that of all beings. This goes beyond mere interdependency. Our very existence is relational. That therefore what we do to another, we do to ourselves. That each of us has a unique and necessary gift to give the world. That the purpose of life is to express our gifts. That every act is significant and has an effect on the cosmos. That we are fundamentally unseparate from each other, from all beings, and from the universe. That every person we encounter and every experience we have mirrors something in ourselves, that humanity is meant to join fully the tribe of all life on earth, offering our uniquely human gifts toward the well-being and development of the whole. That purpose, consciousness, and intelligence are innate properties of matter and the universe. If we want a new normal, it is up to us to manifest it. Not with wishful thinking and waiting for some heroic person to come riding in and save the day, but with our commitment and our work. Are you sitting home feeling lonesome and out of touch? Call or write your representatives. Let them know what you want in a new normal, a way of being that recognizes all the planet as a living entity and that honors the inherent worth and dignity of all beings. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Remind them that they are loved. Write letters to the editor. Open up your address book and start working your spheres of influence. Share your vision of a new normal that includes all of us, all of life. I remember being maybe 10 years old and sitting with my parents at an Amway presentation. The person leading the meeting had a chart of multiplying circles to show the power of personal influence. You know two people, and each of them knows two people, and each of them knows two people, and so on and so on. And I remember thinking that that old campfire song was right. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. We can be that spark. We have the gift of this liminal in-between space, the kairos time between here and there, the waiting place of both restlessness and spaciousness. If you are not ill, or taking care of someone who is ill, or suddenly homeschooling and working from home, or risking your own well-being each day as an essential worker, you probably have the time and the space to begin planting seeds of change, to begin manifesting a new normal, stitching a new garment that fits all humanity and nature. The past 6 weeks, I have made it my sole purpose to bring to you a word of hope and encouragement. And I still want you to know that you are not alone. You are loved. But so are they. So are those who have been pushed not into the in-betweenness of what was and what will be, but have been pushed to the precipice of their very survival. You are loved, but so are the non-human inhabitants of this planet, including the planet. Margaret Mead wrote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." If you look at American history, you will see that Unitarians and Universalists have had a disproportionate influence on society in relation to our numbers. We've always been a relatively small group of thoughtful, committed citizens. But our visions of what could be have always been large and inclusive. Whether it was abolition, mental health reform, women's suffrage, or any number of other social programs, our ancestors were out in front, risking everything to make the world a better place for those who are historically marginalized and denied a voice. Those same ancestors were agitating for a change in the midst of business as usual. As hard and as disruptive as this pandemic-induced thin place has been, and will continue to be, we can find within it the gift of a bit of breathing space, a little kairos time to reflect, re-energize, and recognize that we are the ones we have been waiting for. we are paused at the gateway, the threshold of possibility. Each of us may only possess a small light, but together we can shine and bring more light and hope to a hurting world. You are loved, and so are they.
Lately, I've been thinking a lot about the cliches that float out of people's mouths. Usually they provoke a reaction in me like, how do you simplify life by just throwing those silly little words around? Yet yesterday the phrase, "it is what it is," came right out of my mouth. Phrases like, be kind, no worries, and neither here nor there seem so simple, yet they have great meaning and are challenging to practice. Over the past few years, the ancient Hawaiian practice of Oponopono has come to me. Friends from different friend groups have shared this practice and experience. The practice is these mantras. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Their purpose is not only to realign what is misaligned, but more pointedly to practice the embodiment of what Eisenstein affirms as relational existence. The vocalization of these phrases, aloud or in one's mind, can be directed to another person, to a group, to the self, to the earth, to all existence and all its relations. Though these phrases are simple, the calming practice of their repetition allows all sorts of emotion to bubble to the surface. As Dr. Hugh Len of the Shamanic Wisdom Keepers says, the only problem with human beings is that they are arrogant, because that's what thinking is. This is, in essence, I know. Wisdom is being in the void, to be thoughtless. Only by being in the void can the light come through. As long as I have something going on in my mind, the light can't come through. The light can only come in when the mind is cleared in a state of silence. Isn't this a thin place? Is this also the place Reverend Michelle spoke of a few weeks ago, the place in between the inhale and exhale of the breath? Is this not the thin place where wisdom is found? Meditation in all its forms, including Ho'oponopono, seeks to still our thoughts and allow us to be wise. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you.
Each week, we affirm the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. For me, these are concentric circles that move out into the world. The light of truth is very individual. The warmth of community includes you all. And the fire of commitment takes us out into the world to make change, to let people know that they also are loved. At this time, we consider those in our immediate circle. We hold one another in care and trust that we too will be held. Cherishing that warmth, please join your hearts with mine in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose, we turn our minds and hearts toward one another, seeking to bring into our circle of support all who need our love and care. Those who are ill, those who are in pain either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, and to care. May it ever be so in our lives. Amen, Ashe, blessed be. I hope you'll sing with me. There is a love.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in that love. There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all that you love. There is a love holding all. You rest in that love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in that
We
love.
extinguish this flame,
We extinguish the flame,
but not the light of truth,
but not the light of truth.
the warmth of community,
The warmth and community
or the fire of commitment.
of the God of commandment.
These we carry in our hearts
Murder carry the heart
until we are together again.
until we are together again.
Travel light and travel easy, till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. May the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous that we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest, so that we may give ourselves to the work of our world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move. Thank you for joining us for worship today. Just remember, you can give to the UU Church of Amherst by going to our website, uuamherst.org, and clicking on the giving link. And you can also see our website and our weekly email reminders for more opportunities to connect during this time of physical distancing. Be well. We'll see you soon.
The Flaming Chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to being more just and compassionate. To take two.
I hope you'll sing with me. It's hymn number 16. Take two. I invite you to do that. Take two. Now it's Angela's turn.
Our opening reading is from Mark Nepo, Burying. Take two.
Our next reading comes from Peter Gomes. There is in Celtic mythology,